There's a problem with conducting interviews for change, and it may not be something that a lot of people want to hear, but I'm going to say it because it's very important that we experiment and do our best if we want to create the truth in this world. There's a lot of people who want to do experiments with interviews, and they want to interview many other people and say, well, let's just bring on experts, let's bring on guests, let's bring on people who want to have a conversation. Not that that is a problem within itself, but perhaps the idea of interviews is not something that's going to actually create the change that you want to see, that you are hoping to get from interviews. And this is why we must experiment and look at all our options and see, is interviews really the solution for us, or do we have to try something new and try new things in order to achieve the new? Now, there's a reason why I say this. It's because, well, a lot of people do interviews, and including myself, I've done interviews, but I don't limit my content to just interviews. In fact, I don't limit my content, period. I'm always looking for how I can improve and do something better or in different ways for different audiences, because there's so many different types of people, different types of topics and conversations to be had. But it's more than just regular interviews. Because people can go on the street, they can do on-the-street interviews, and they can actively reach those in the dark or the people that you want to hear this knowledge, because people have to click on something in order to see it, in order to understand it. People are going to click on it because they are going in with the intent of, oh, I want to see this content, or, oh, this looks interesting. So they usually go by the thumbnail, they usually go by the title of the video, right? And that usually is the first thing that draws them in. So that right away has to be very important, that it's done and focused on very much, despite the video being good quality itself, of course. But having those two in addition to the video is very important, and that is not the interview. Okay, so those two things lead up to the interview. But when it comes to clicking on something, people have to have an interest to it. And most people who want interviews are usually looking for experts or authors, or because there's a certain trend going on and they need more opinions and perspectives on it. You'll see this in the media as well. Oh, let's bring on this expert. Oh, let's bring on this person. Oh, from our panel. Oh, our contributor. And not usually is it talking with the everyday person or with people who perhaps really need that knowledge, or people who's going to challenge all your worldviews, but maybe that is actually the audience that you need to look at. And so just some ideas to really sink in, to understand that there's a whole world of people out there that we need to reach, and they're not going to necessarily come to us. Now, some of them will, going through a lot of the same experiences we've had to go through, and as the world goes crazy in different ways and people start to realize different things are going on and they start to do research for themselves, but not everybody's even doing research for themselves. Not everybody even knows you exist, and now there's censorship as well. So it's really important to then create an online or a real life base in addition to online, and get the message out every way you can, not just through one medium and not just through one way through that medium. Okay, so interviews could be expanded upon. They could be turned into shorts, YouTube shorts. I've done this many times on my channel with great success. You'll see there's thousands of views on a lot of these because I clip them and I use cross clips. That's the program I use. It's free online. It's very simple to use. And it allows me to do this. You can use another program called CapCut. This is what all the TikTokers and people with the 1-minute shorts always use, because it creates auto, transcriptions of your videos where you can make cool effects, and you can do it all on your phone. You even need a computer. So that's really cool. You can do that as well. But notice it's no longer just an interview now. Now it's turned into other content which could potentially be more attractive. I mean, look at my interviews, maybe 100 views each, and then look at the shorts, thousands. Big difference, and that's not the interview, it's the shorts. So if you are going to do interviews, realize you can expand upon it. Usually what's done with an interview is, oh, I'm sharing my opinion, I'm sharing my perspective. But usually there has to be evidence behind that, right? There usually has to be some sort of material behind it, like this book. There has to be something behind what somebody is saying. So there needs to be, a documentary made out of it. People do that with interviews. People take interviews, they turn them into short little animated videos. People have done that. After School is a good channel for that. Motivation Manifested, another good channel where they make it into like sort of a presentation. just taking snippets of interviews and podcasts. Podcasts are much like interviews. You're just projecting your thoughts out there. Not saying they're bad. I'm saying there's a lot more you can do with it to reach more audiences, right? And especially showing your face in relation to podcasts can be a very important thing. Maybe the reason why Joe Rogan's so successful is because he's always bringing on different guests and he's talking face to face, and people see his emotions. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got tons of promotion, tons of marketing. I mean, if everybody were to just put their marketing efforts into one channel or one person and one idea, the idea in the channel can blow up massively. We see this with different collaboration channels on YouTube as well. If you follow things closely, you'll see that you cannot be limited in these old structures and these old ways of doing things. In the same way I criticize politics and people who think political change is important, they're stuck in the old ways, not looking at the new ways to do things. And there's always new channels being created with really unique, powerful, many of them are just really simple ideas. And it's up to you what you want to do. I choose to follow my heart and simply do what makes me happy in this process. And I do expect people to come my way as time moves on. I'm not actively looking out there. I find my tribe, and I have found my tribe. But I am trying to put the message out in many different ways. But that's also because it makes it more fun and more creative for myself. So I actually get a personal benefit out of it. And as an inventor and somebody who likes to be creative, that's something that challenges me and makes me move forward and learn new ways of producing, new ways of getting the message out there. So there's too many benefits to not doing interviews and doing other things, or at least having an interview like once in a while like I do, and then using it like for months on end, you know? My friend John Peniel Chidester III, his name is crazy long, he's like, man, you posted Brennan Spencer and you in your interviews for like 3 months straight. I'm like, yeah, I did. As shorts, every single day I posted a clip from that interview for 3 months straight. And that's insane. You can post clips from my interviews, post them on your channel, and probably get just as much views for literally doing nothing but clipping it. And this is why it's so powerful, because that is how Asmongold grew his channel. Look up Asmongold TV. It's a collaboration between 3 editors who all had their own separate channels at some point of just clipping a streamer. And they all had hundreds of thousands of followers and millions of views that they all decide, okay, well, let's just make a channel all together. And now they have one big channel called Asmongold TV, and it's got millions of subscribers. So think of the potential when you have efforts like this, okay? And this is why one of my main goals is to find people who can be content partners with me in real life. Because when you have a content partner in real life, there's a lot you can do. You can do recording together on the street. You're more inspired to do more and think outside the box and find new ideas and get active criticism for what you should be doing. There's a lot of benefit to that, okay? But staying on just interviews and not having all these other aspects can be a big problem, a big hurdle in the way to truth. Now, I get it. Some people have to start somewhere. Some people have to find out, okay, how do I produce content? And that might be the easiest thing for you to do. But realize there's more potential there, and I want you to start speaking out publicly about it and start putting your intent out there and challenge yourself and make goals, because this is how you create success. This is how any business does it. This is how any corporation gets their goals done. Why the elites are so successful is because they're organized and they know what they're stinking doing. I said to myself, I'm going to create a summit with 50 speakers, and within a couple months I did it because I set milestones for myself and I said I will do it and I will plug it and I will share it like crazy, and it happened. Okay, and I use that as an example to say you can do anything as well. And this is why I created the Liberator 2, so everybody can collaborate for all of time. I encourage you to get involved with that project. Another way, you don't have to just do interviews, because you can just send me a script and I will turn it into a video for you, or you can send me your video or your video script and we'll do more with it. There's so much that could be done. And what's important is that we collaborate, because collaborations in general get a lot more traction. This is part of the reason why people like to do interviews, but if you were to bring collaboration to its highest extreme, it's not interviews, it's actually, production together. It's actually, putting websites up together, channels up together. That is very powerful. Summit is a good example because you have so many people on one website, right? It's not just a mere interview, it's many interviews, it's gifts, it's live streams. It's the whole shebang, and that is what makes it really, really special. Now, it's only a problem, what I'm saying with interviews, and to say how bad it is, and same thing with podcasts to some extent, it's only a problem when it becomes your only content source. There's a lot of people who find out what works for them, but it's unlikely, if I look anywhere online, that I see interviews are the thing that is getting people traction. And if it is, it's because they're marketing it very, very well, using other means of clipping the interviews, of editing the interviews, etc. And that is what I typically see as powerful when it comes to interviews, but it's really only a problem when it becomes your own content, your only content source, and you're not doing anything with the interviews. If you think an interview is so powerful, share it with the world and bring it out in so many different formats, rather than just having some 1 hour video, 2 hour video just sitting there on your channel doing nothing, And I have some of those, and that's why over time I could just keep clipping and clipping and clipping, because it was there. You just do this big project, and then from there you just break it down little by little, and it's easy because you already did the hard work, so now all you got to do is break it down. That's a good part about doing a slideshow presentation. I mean, think about how many people reposted Mark Passio's natural law seminar. So many people. Just look up Mark Passio, or just look up natural law, and it's like literally hundreds of different channels reposting the same content. It's because it was styled like this, where it's like, okay, next slide, here's a whole new presentation. Next slide, here's a whole new presentation. And he delivers himself in the best way that he can to say, this is what you can do on this topic, on this topic, on this topic, and they can each be separate videos because they're each separate topics. So you have to connect with your audience once in a while. Maybe live stream, talk to them face to face like I am doing here. Give light to everyone, not just the experts or the authors or the people you interview. Reach everybody. One of the biggest problems with the One Great Work Network and different movements and groups and whatever is they stay secluded. They don't open themselves up to the public. But if we give light to everyone, not just select people, we can open the conversation and make an even bigger impact. We can create news sites, we can set up in real life meetings, we can create confrontations with politicians. These are just ideas to jump out there. Again, different opportunities in different environments, different places. That's why I'm going to a different place currently. Fun fact, a little spoiler, but it's because it will bring me new opportunities. Everybody has different opportunities. You may not have all the opportunities to do everything. Some of the things I mentioned I haven't got to do yet because it depends on the opportunities, but I have it planned. I have it in my head. I think about it. And so having that in mind and then looking at what makes the most amount of impact, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to choose this, I'm going to choose that, and then I'm going to look at my YouTube stats. I'm going to say, what's the best strategy, right? But not necessarily to create an impact, because I'm not here to do that. I've said that many times on my channel. I said I'm not here for popularity. I'm here to just do my thing and share the word, but I do want the ideas to get popular. So it's just a matter of encouraging each other, not so much even just encouraging ourselves, but encouraging each other as well. Because by encouraging each other, we encourage ourselves too. So, having a little bit of controversy as well doesn't really hurt. Because you'll see this as well, especially all throughout history, as the people who are the most controversial, the people who did different things, they tend to be controversial, think outside the box, they tend to bring in a lot more traction. So you might see some people saying, oh, well, I don't know about this idea or this guy or whatever. That might not be so bad of a thing if it creates a conversation. I'm not saying that you should want to be controversial. You should be yourself. And being yourself, if you say that there's a truth and that truth is natural, that, our truth is going away and who we are individually as human beings is going away because there's this techno-tyranny and this, dictatorship is taking away our personal identity and normalizing all of us and turning us all stale. Well, if you think that that is the case, then be yourself. That's how you be the rebel. Don't try to be controversial. Don't try to spark controversy. Don't try to act like you know everything. Just be yourself. That's it. And by being yourself, I think you should naturally be pretty much an outcast, because guess what? I was. I talked about that in my other video about how I got kicked out of different political groups. I didn't really do anything other than be myself and express my thoughts. They didn't like it. I learned over time, okay, I can ask questions even better. Now, in interviews, you're asking questions to people who usually you expect them to have those questions and have those answers, and sometimes it may not be as nice and new and refreshing as being on the street and talking to new people. So this is one of the biggest things I plan to do in the next couple years, is do on the street stuff. And people tend to like that. It's unique. It gets the ideas out there. It helps you see the world in different ways. You can find content partners to record with you. This is what we can do with interviews. All the many things I talked about, shorts, TikToks, the same thing, basically clipping and turning it into transcripts and all that. Very, very important. Expanding upon concepts, saying, okay, this was really cool. I'm going to do more research on this and then make this into a presentation. There's so much you can do. Thank you very much for watching. This is Corey and Menengelat. Nature is the answer.